Israel itself is at high risk in my judgment. If we want Israel to survive, it is now in our interest and in Israel's interest for this to halt, this killing in Gaza.
The Israel-Gaza conflict, deeply rooted and contentious, presents a complex geopolitical landscape. Douglas Macgregor, a former U.S. Army colonel and military analyst, offers a provocative perspective on Israel's precarious position in this enduring war. His analysis challenges mainstream views and scrutinizes Israel's long-term viability in the ongoing Gaza conflict. We aim to dissect Macgregor's viewpoint, scrutinizing the elements he identifies as critical to Israel's potential downfall in this enduring conflict. Macgregor's hypothesis is grounded in the historical intricacies of the Israel-Gaza dispute. Originating in the late 19th century, the conflict began with the settlement of Jewish Zionists in Palestine, then under Ottoman rule, aspiring for a Jewish homeland. This led to the establishment of Israel in 1948, sparking resistance from the Arab populace and a series of ensuing conflicts. Gaza, a pivotal region in this strife, has been central to the ongoing tension. The conflict's history is laden with complexity, diverse narratives, and entrenched grievances. Macgregor focuses on Israel's strategy in this war and its long-term tenability. He suggests that Israel's reliance on military might and economic sanctions could backfire. He identifies three primary factors that may culminate in Israel's downfall. Macgregor underscores the demographic challenges Israel faces. Gaza's burgeoning youthful population, having endured conflict and hardship, could heighten the demographic threat to Israel's stability. Macgregor posits that continued strife could radicalize Gaza's youth, intensifying the conflict and weakening Israel's control, potentially destabilizing its security structure. International backlash against Israel's conflict management is escalating. The toll on civilians, displacements, and the Gaza blockade have drawn global censure, including from human rights organizations and governments. Macgregor contends that Israel's growing diplomatic isolation could erode its key alliances, especially with the U.S., leaving it more susceptible to external influences and jeopardizing its security and economic health. Economic sanctions and boycotts, as advocated by the BDS movement, pose another threat to Israel's economy. Despite facing opposition, BDS has made inroads, impacting Israel economically. Macgregor argues that persistent economic pressure and international disapproval could weaken Israel's economy, impairing its military and security capabilities, and contributing to its downfall. Even though Macgregor's ideas are strong, they have been criticized and replaced by other ideas. One important argument against this is Israel's strong military, which is still a very powerful force in the world. It has always had a strategic advantage in the war, thanks to its advanced weapons and intelligence gathering. People who support Israel's armed strength say that the country probably won't fall apart because of problems with its population or diplomatic isolation. They say that Israel's armed deterrence is still strong and will keep stopping its enemy. Israel has always been worried about its own safety, which has shaped its policies and actions. Some people who disagree with Macgregor's point of view say that Israel will change and respond to new situations because it is committed to security. This means spending money on things like technology, intelligence, and security to successfully fight threats. In addition, Israel has shown that it can talk to its neighbors, like Egypt and Jordan, and come to an understanding for peace. Supporters of Israel say that the country's security worries will keep it working for a peaceful solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, even though it can't be solved. Some people who disagree with Macgregor's reasoning also wonder if the rest of the world can put enough pressure on Israel to cause it to fall apart. Israel has great support from its most important allies, such as the US, which gives it a lot of military aid and political support. Also, Israel has been criticized by the rest of the world for decades, but it has kept its place in the area. Some doubters say that Israel's ability to withstand pressure from other countries shows that it can handle foreign problems and stay in power. The political deadlock and lack of leadership on both sides of the Israel-Gaza Palestine dispute is one of the problems that will not go away. Political differences between Palestinians, like those between Fatah and Hamas, have made it harder for them to negotiate with Israel as a single unit. In the same way, Israel's government has been unstable, with frequent changes in power and alliance politics. Both sides have had trouble moving toward a peaceful settlement because they don't have stable and consistent leaders. Working together to help Palestinian groups negotiate and get along may be what the international community needs to do to solve this problem. Having outside players involved makes the conflict even more complicated. The United States has always been a friend of Israel, while countries like Iran and Qatar have backed the Palestinians. These outside actors' actions can either make the problem worse or make it easier to solve. Regional and foreign power are often involved in efforts to mediate and reach a settlement through talks. Getting these groups to agree on something is hard, but it's necessary for any peace deal to last. The ongoing war has terrible effects on people's lives. Israelis and Palestinians have both lost loved ones, been hurt, been forced to move, and had hard times financially. In Gaza, in particular, there have been serious humanitarian crises, such as a lack of food and water, bad medical care, and damaged infrastructure. It is morally necessary to deal with the humanitarian situation and could lay the groundwork for new diplomatic attempts. Humanitarian aid, help with rebuilding, and better living conditions can all help the people who have been harmed build trust and goodwill. The two-state option, which calls for Israel and Palestine to each be independent and sovereign, has been seen as the best way to reach peace for a long time. But the fact that Israeli settlements in the West Bank are still growing, and the gap between the two sides is getting wider, makes this option seem less likely to work. In order to bring back the two-state option, the international community may need to recommit itself, stop building new settlements, and start real negotiations again. Promoting a shared vision for living together peacefully is still a very important goal. Douglas Macgregor's claim that Israel could fall apart during the current war with Gaza is a controversial point of view that goes against what most people think. His research shows the problems with population growth, diplomatic isolation, and economic pressures that might make Israel less stable in the long run. But it's important to understand how complicated and deeply rooted the Israel-Gaza Palestine dispute is. The arguments against Macgregor say that Israel's strong military, dedication to safety, and help from other countries may make up for the problems he lists. In the end, the conflict's future is still unclear, and any guesses about whether it will end or not must take into account the many factors that are at play. While the world continues to try to figure out how to end this long-running dispute peacefully and fairly for everyone, it is important to have open and helpful conversations about it. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure the notification bell is turned on so you don't miss a video.